Hello everybody, welcome to the Kaika tutorial. We are going to be going over bubble control, aim techniques, how to multitask, how to navigate matchups in different playstyles, types of Kaika playstyles, and my personal tips and tricks. So if you happen to enjoy this tutorial by the end, please leave a like and comment which weapon you want me to do a tutorial on next. I've played this game way too much, and I know a lot about each weapon. So, go ahead and do that, and let's get on to the tutorial. Hello guys, welcome to the first part of the tutorial. Here we're going to be showing you how to control bubble. So the way that I do that is one of three ways that you can do it. So the first way is out of shift lock, as you can see here. The bubble is very accurate because it goes directly to where your mouse is whenever you press C. Boom, boom, boom. The next way is using shift lock with your bubble. This is much harder and a lot less accurate because you have to actually move your camera in order to move it properly. But it does allow you to be more accurate with your clicks because your clicks aim with your camera. Or if you're out of shift lock, your clicks aim with your cursor. I don't know why more weapons don't aim like this. It's rather interesting, but that's besides the point. Or you could do what I do. I use both in the same fight. Whenever I need to click, I'll do that. Whenever I need to move bubble, I'll move out of shift lock. And I've gotten very used to going in and out very comfortably. As you can see by my pinky just spamming it. And yeah, those are the three ways that you can move bubble. The only unfortunate part is, as much as this may teach you, you really just need to practice to get any one of these three down. Bubble control does not come overnight. It takes a lot of practice. A lot of practice. So I hope you guys do practice that. We are on to the next part of this tutorial. We're going to be talking about techniques for bubble. So, some of the techniques are, you can push your bubble near the end and it'll come back pretty unexpectedly. If you get it behind an enemy, they're immediately grabbed back. Other techniques are, in melee matchups, you could just keep the bubble on yourself constantly. Another technique is, it's hard to show this without someone here to show you, but let's say a Takizawa player decides to try and grab you with E or R. If you time your bubble and press F right when they hit it, they will be grabbed. They'll be grabbed right out of their, thing. Same with a Ginkui player. You can immediately grab them right out. Another technique is keeping your bubble close to you, and then as they hit you, the bubble's going to come back around and then grab them out. That's a more unexpected one that they generally won't expect, but this is technically the safer solution, is to just keep the bubble on you and then just press it whenever they go. It is an HP trade, so you got to really get used to pressing it and then immediately blocking, get that timing down. Another thing to note and point out is that against anti-grab targets, you can cancel their move still with the bubble. So the bubble isn't useless. It's not good, but it's not useless. And that is all for the techniques that you will have to learn. Alright, we are on the last segment of this part of the tutorial. How to practice using your bubble. So one of the best ways that I've found to practice is to just start using it constantly. Just constantly practice it, constantly be moving it in ways that you want it to move. And also, just walk up to players and just bubble them. And just keep doing that. Because most players will either, I've seen like a 50-50% here, where either they'll try and get into the bubble because they like it, or they're going to try and dodge it because they don't like it. Either way, it's good practice. One way you can avoid the player with the bubble and try and learn how to get the speed down, get everything down that way, or you can try and catch them if they don't like it. That's like some of the best ways that I've found. Other ones is just playing matchups. Constantly. Keep playing the game. Keep going. You gotta constantly be moving. And if you happen to want to try and practice shift and unshift, which I would highly recommend, it's straight up the best way to play this weapon. Another thing is to practice it while dashing. It's a bit more difficult, but if you get it down, it is 100% worth it. Because nobody's going to expect you to be that good at the bubble control. Anyways, yes, that is it for this section of the tutorial. Okay, we are on to the next part of the tutorial. Unfortunately, I do not have someone here to test this with, but I'll just use one of the bosses as an example. So here's how to aim. So with Kaika Click, as you notice, it's a rather large projectile. It's not as big as it used to be, rest in peace Kaika, but it is very quick and it is a rather large hitbox. So what I've always done is hit it on the edge of the attack. And they will never expect it. You try and get them to a point where they have to dodge one way. And if they try and dodge the way that you have most of your click on, like there on the right, if they dodge to the right, they're going to get hit guaranteed. While if they dodge to the left, they're not going to get hit, but now you know the dodge pattern that they're going for. It's one of the best ways to learn what dodge pattern they use. And another thing is, if you get really good at bubble control, you can keep it on the left side to catch them with bubble while aiming to the right. Say if they dodge in to the bubble, they get bubble. Or at the very least, they're pressured from it. And they have to dodge in an erratic way. Or they have to sacrifice some movement. Like just a move that uses movement. Like, for example, an owl using E. They have to waste that now because of the pressure that you apply. And it is a great thing. And right there, as you saw, the bubble coming back, that's like great pressure. And that is one of the best ways to learn how to predict people, and one of the best ways to apply pressure to someone. Takes a lot of multitasking, but you can get it down. You could definitely get it down. It's not impossible. Trust me. I mean, even I still struggle with some of these concepts and whatnot, and how to apply them mid-battle. Anyways, yeah, that is this part of the tutorial. I will see you in the next one. Alright, hello, welcome to the next part of the tutorial. So, we are going to be talking about how to multitask. There isn't much to it, it's more so just a lot of practice, but one way that I see it is relieving pressure off of yourself. So, one of the ways that I do that is I practice one part of Kaika specifically in a fight. I'll just do my clicks and mines. That's it. That's all I'll do. Practice getting really good at those. Get really, really good at doing that. Then I add the bubble. But I'm not blocking. I'm not moving as fast. I'm just placing mines, I'm just moving bubble, and I'm just clicking. Then, eventually, you get some mines in there, you click, you mine, you block, you click, you mine, you block, you move your bubble, all while doing this. Depending on what you need to do. Just get really good at the fundamentals of Kaika, even outside of a fight. Just practice pressing your buttons, doing your thing. And eventually, once you get the basics down, you'll eventually be able to focus on the enemy as well. When to know to block, like against an owl. You know that their rotation of moves are on roughly a 2 to 5 second cooldown. So for 2 to 5 seconds, you have breathing room. But every 2 to 5 seconds, you need to be ready to block. Those are just examples of how to multitask and how to somewhat go about getting it down. Just one thing at a time. Just learn one thing at a time with this weapon. You got to give it lots of time. Some people will learn quicker, some people will learn a lot slower. I happen to be one of the people that learned this all very slowly. So I get you guys. I feel you on how difficult this is. But you will get it at some point. It does not take that long. It just takes a lot of practice. Alright, on to the next one. So, in this next part of the tutorial, we're going to be going over how in the world are you supposed to navigate the different types of matchups. A ranged matchup, melee matchup, aerial matchups, and anti-grab matchups. So we're going to be going over first the ranged matchups. So against ranged matchups, you want your bubble out almost constantly. There's no point where you should say that you don't want your bubble out. The only time you don't is if, let's say, an owl or an Ixa gets up really close to you in melee range. That's when you want to hold bubble and wait for them to try and make a move. Or to try and catch them whenever they do so. Keep your bubble close. That's one of two ways you can go about it. But just like earlier, I was mentioning pressure. That is all you want to do in these ranged matchups. It's pressure. Pressure, 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 pressure. I actually do not place mines very much in these matchups because mines don't cause too much pressure. The hitbox isn't very big, about that big around. And it doesn't cause too much pressure unless you get a nice line of them, like right here. If you were to get 4 right here, that's decent pressure. Because they have to be very accurate with how they do it, but they can also just jump over them. Jump over them and use a teleport move or a blink. And that's range matchups. You just want to keep clicking, get up close to them. Get up close, make sure your bubble has the range to grab them or to pressure them. And just keep clicking them. Just keep banging on the pressure. And sometimes even stutter your clicks so they don't know when it's coming. Don't go into a pattern, because if you go into a pattern, they'll be able to perfect block it every single time. Or they'll be able to dodge it every single time. Next, we have melee matchups. So with melee matchups, you want to keep bubble out for as long as they're out of your range, or just within your click range. Like, you want to keep it on to pressure them. Keep doing that. Just keep the pressure going. But the moment you can tell that they're about to make a move or that you made a mistake, grab it. Grab the bubble immediately and get ready for them to charge up to you. like say it's Takizawa or Ginkui, like I mentioned earlier, you want to be ready to press it right when they go to press on you. Or press E or R on you. Which it works for both. Ginkui, E and R works perfectly. With Taki, E and R works perfectly. With the Jason, you more so wanna use the technique that I was talking about earlier. This technique. Make sure the bubble's within range so you can get to safety. Your bubble is your safety in a melee matchup. It's the only thing that can save you other than mind pressure. Which we're going to talk about this playstyle later, where you just place mines, and then just keep pressuring and staying right where you are. But we'll talk about that here later. Next is the aerial matchups. Like at OK2, you have Akuma, and you also have Furuta. So with these three, it is really hard to play them. And there's certain ways to play them. Akuma is the easiest out of the three. Very much so, because it's basically just a melee matchup that just sits in the air sometimes. Furuta is the worst by far. It is the absolute hardest to take care of as a Kaika. Because they can just sit up in the air, go right on top of you, and hit you with very large hitboxes, and you cannot hit them with bubble, because the bubble isn't large enough, while they can hit you with pretty much any move in their kit. So my only, bit of advice there is to keep mines on top of you. Constantly keep mines on top of you. Make it to where it's not worth it for them to go right on top of you. I don't care if they call you a cheap camper. Hey, they're playing a cheap weapon. That's aerial. Now, against Edo K2, it is in fact the opposite. You do not want to sit on your mines because the damage trade is most certainly not worth it. And it's also because their slam range is just outside of the mine range. So it is very difficult to get an equal trade-off on an Edo. So, what do you do in those situations? What you do is you keep your bubble on top of yourself, because you can almost always catch them if you know exactly where they're going to slam. And do your best to try and avoid the slam, but also if you know you can't, block it. Immediately block it. Now, those are all the aerial matchups for the most part. I would have to show gameplay examples to get you guys to really get in the mode of, what I'm talking about. Let's see if I could provide any, but let's get on to the fourth type, anti-grab matchups. This one is really coin flippy. Like, let's say a Kong is just chasing you down, and you only have your dash and your G to get away. This matchup, and just like any other anti-grab matchup, is all based off of your movement and your spacing. It's a little bit to do with the bubble because you can cancel moves with the bubble, but against Kong, for example, it's not really useful unless you know they're going to be going for the grab. I was going to say the Noro is one of these matchups where you would have a lot of trouble, but not necessarily anymore unless they, press their T, of course, in the anti-grab mode. So with anti-grab matchups, you basically just have to kite the ever-living hell out of them. Like, you just have to keep your distance, and you just have to constantly keep moving. And deal as much damage as you possibly can. And throw a bubble out whenever you think you can catch them trying to do a move. Because you can cancel any move in the game against an anti-grab person. It will cancel any move in the game. Let me think here if there's any anti-grab matchups that are extremely hard to play. Actually, New Jira is incredibly hard to play because it's hard to just out-movement a Jira. But the thing is, if it goes to try and bite you, your bubble can cancel it every time. It's very easy to cancel that move with bubble. So you just have to make sure that they do not get on top of you. You have to make sure that they're roughly this distance away constantly. Roughly where my bubble is right now. You want to make sure they're at least that distance almost the entire round. Which is going to be very hard. Because they're rather fast and they can chase you down and whatnot, but it's not too bad. It's not a complete counter. But anyways, yeah, that is the matchups advice that I got for you guys. So, yeah, on to the next. Okay, now we are going to be going over the 3 types of Kaika playstyles that I know of. And I have played all 3. One of which I really do not like playing. It's a very boring playstyle, but regardless. So you have aggro Kaika, which is very much so like you're just on top of your bubble, just constantly clicking, constantly mining, and you're just chasing people down because you know you're safe around your bubble. It's a very fun playstyle, and there's a lot of damage trades that go in with it, but it is very fun and very rewarding. But you will die the most on this playstyle. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. The next is passive, which is the style that I currently have adopted and played. It is basically keeping your distance while also maintaining pressure. It's using the full range that Kaika has been given. It's basically aggro without you standing next to your bubble. Like, you're aggressive with your bubble rather than you being aggressive yourself and sacrificing HP. The next playstyle that you can pick up is Die on Your Hill, or that's what I like to call it, or otherwise known as the mine camping playstyle. So you immediately start mining up. You hold your bubble, generally, until you get a nice field of mines. Then you start pressuring with bubble. This is basically the ultimate zoning playstyle, where they can't enter your zone, because otherwise they're at risk of getting hit with a bubble. Melees absolutely hate this playstyle. Ranged players don't necessarily mind it as long as they stay out of your bubble. Because if they get hit with bubble, I mean, they're just going to run into all these mines. And then they're just kind of dead. This is a very boring playstyle, but it is pretty much the most effective if you know how to play it correctly. Like, if you know how to perfect block every single time, and it requires the least amount of movement as well. So if you're learning to multitask, this is probably the playstyle you should pick up first, because it gets you used to all your mechanics without having to add the movement. It is like ultimate pressure, ultimate damage. It's probably the best playstyle on Kaika if you know how to do it correctly. But the other playstyles are also better in their own ways, depending on what you're playing against. So honestly, I would use all 3 depending on what you're playing against or who you're playing against. You just gotta know when to pick your battles and which battles you should fight, you know? Or how you should fight those battles more so. Yeah, that's the 3 different playstyles to Kaika. Alright, the final part of this tutorial. I am going to be showing you how I go about playing this weapon, or some of my own personal tips and tricks. So you may have noticed this entire video that I have not pressed C to move my bubble a single time. Even though I can, I'm very proficient at it because I used to do that. It is not recommended if you're looking to multitask. Like, straight up, if you want the fastest form of Kaika, I personally made a macro using Logitech G Hub. You can use any macro pretty much, but I would recommend Logitech G Hub if you have a Logitech mouse like I do, as you can see. To create a macro, and I have it set to my right click. The right click is very consistent, very fast, and very easy to use, at least in my opinion. It took a lot of practice. It took me maybe about a month to get used to it fully, but once I did, my gameplay improved way more because my left hand isn't doing nearly as much. Because before, it was just my right hand putting on, you know, my camera pressure and doing my clicks and whatnot, and that was it. My right hand was doing basically nothing in comparison to my left hand, where my left hand is constantly moving, going in and out of shift, jumping, blocking. It's just too much. It's way, 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 way too much. So that is one thing I would recommend, as long as it is within the rules to do so. The next thing I would recommend is honestly using bubble as a crutch. I know how it sounds, it's kind of cheesy, it's kind of whatever, but bubble is your crutch. Like, you need to use it so much. It's the strongest part of the kit, straight up, other than click. Click and bubble are the strongest parts of the kit. If you have those two down, you're going to be just fine. A Kaika player can get away with just clicking their targets down if they're accurate, but a great Kaika player is going to use their bubble in addition. And here's some other things to know randomly about the bubble. So when you grab a target, you deal extra true damage with your clicks. I believe it's a like 0.47 conversion to a 0.66 or 67 conversion. Something along those lines, or like 0.33 to 0.67 true damage conversion on your click. And yeah, I will see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.